Hi Taurus, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your November 2020 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. As far as personal readings go, I decided I'm going to take a break from those until probably early next year. As far as what we have in front of us, it's a Celtic cross spread as always, and I also pulled a couple of Oracle cards for you guys and a Mudra card. So we'll get started with the main spread. The main situation position, we have the Ace of Pentacles. So this usually represents the idea for a fresh start towards something. Now, obviously, it can be related to finances for you guys, but plus you guys are Pentacle energy. But what I always point out to people with the aces, especially with this deck, is the fact that you always see what looks like a hand coming out of the cloud. So to me, that emphasizes that it's just something that's in the idea stage, so it would still require some action to be taken. So this could just be saying that there could be negotiations and talks around a fresh start in finances, or like I said, it could be anything as far as the relationship that you're trying to make more stable. But I feel like this is just definitely in the early stages and not something that you would actually see play out just yet. In the challenger obstacle position, we have the Eight of Wands and the Two of Pentacles. So on the one hand, you see the ace here, now you see the two. So that could represent some growth, but with this being in the challenge position, could just be saying that there might have to be a lot of talks before you actually get to this point, so let's look at it from a couple of different practical types of examples. So I'd say it is a relationship that you're trying to get off the ground. Could just be saying that you guys are actually going to have to have a lot of talks with each other before you're actually able to see some forward momentum with the connection. And even then, of course, you're not going to be skipping any steps because, as we see, you go straight from the ace to the two. So it's not like you jump from an ace to a 10 of pentacles, So could just be saying that it'll take a little time. And part of that could be just because of the fact that, for example, at the time I'm recording this, we basically just started that Mercury retrograde in your opposite sign. And, even though that'll wrap up pretty early on in the month of November, it'll take a while before the shadow period ends. So could just be pointing to that, especially since this represents the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius. So it could just be saying that it might be closer to the end of November before you actually feel like you actually made any progress and got some forward movement with the situation. So that's one example where it could be a relationship thing. Now, let's say this is around finances too. Similar thing, like I said, if you guys are negotiating, for example, salary or pay, maybe this is a job you haven't even started yet. Could just be saying that there'd have to be a lot of talks around that before you finally get to where you want to be. And for others of you, if this is just saying you want a fresh start in general, your best bet would probably be to apply to multiple places as far as putting your resume out there. So there's a few things I'm seeing. In the foundation position, we have the Fool. So it definitely does look like you guys are looking to have some kind of a fresh start somewhere. Between the Ace of Pentacles in the main situation and now seeing the Fool in the foundation. Definitely looks like you guys are ready for a fresh start. This could even be as a result of the full moon right at the very end of October, which will be in your sign, and it'll be conjunct Uranus, which is also in your sign. So that could be the spark that really makes you want to do something fresh. So that's what I see there. And of course, like we say, this does represent actually taking the risk. So it looks like some progression there as far as the Ace of Pentacles being something more in the idea stage. And then it looks like with the Fool in the foundation, it looks like you would take action on that at some point. In the past position, we have the Three of Wands. So this is actually Aries energy, usually is referred to as the waiting for your ships to come in energy. And that's because it's a bit of a fixed energy where you're just waiting for things to come your way. So usually this is what someone would do when they've put in a certain amount of work and now they're just waiting to reap the rewards of that work. And that could have been the energy you guys might have been in for a while, taking a more passive role toward the situation. And now you're possibly coming to the realization that you're going to have to be more of an active member in the actual situation in order to get the forward progress you're looking for. In the present position, we have Judgment. So This usually, to me, points to Scorpio energy as well, as far as the main major arcana card for Scorpio is the Death card. And then if we think of Scorpio energy, it's often referred to as death and rebirth. So I see this as the rebirth side of that energy. So this could just be pointing to the fact that, obviously during Scorpio season, you might have something come back around for you guys again. So for a lot of you, that Ace of Pentacles, as opposed to it being a fresh start altogether, I feel like this might be a fresh start with someone or something from your past. So, for example, reconciliation in the relationship, which again would make sense, like we said, given you have that Mercury retrograde in your opposite sign. Could also be maybe going back to an old place of employment, or at the very least, a field that you once worked in. That's what this could be pointing to there. And with this angel symbolism we see there, it looks like you are guided to actually make that move. So that's the positive side of it. It looks like for whatever reason, whether it's going to be a long-term thing that lasts for you, or you just karmically needed to come back to this situation or person, it looks like it is the right move for you guys. In the near future position, we have the Six of Cups. So more Scorpio energy here. And this actually is often referred to as a reconciliation card. I refer to it as the being the bigger person card sometimes as well, because it looks like there's the size difference between the two people, and we see the one who appears to be larger looks like they're extending that cup. So that's where I get that being the bigger person feeling. So looks like you guys definitely might be reconciling with someone this month. This actually represents the middle 10 degrees of Scorpio. So for some of you, this could be pretty early on in the month of November too, because that's when we'll basically be in those degrees. And it's also where the actual Mercury retrograde first started, at 11 degrees of Scorpio. So some significance around that as well. All right. In the position of your influence in the situation, we have the Ten of Pentacles. So this is actually Virgo energy here, which for you guys is your 5th house. So it could just be saying that, you might have achieved a certain level of comfort to where now maybe that's why you feel a bit more comfortable getting into the situation. So, for example, you might have just been focused on more career and financial goals in the past and couldn't really put any energy into the connection with a person in the past. And now that you've gotten to a certain point of comfort, you're able to actually make that move. For others of you, this could just be saying that around your situation, if it is around finances as well, this is saying that, you've achieved a certain level of success that allows you that ability to have a bit more freedom to say, you know what, I'm going to try something else for the time being. Try to see what else comes to mind with this. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I'm seeing there, but like I said, this is Virgo energy. Ten of Pentacles represents stability, so this could just be saying that maybe now your perspective has shifted as well to where that's something that you do want in your life. Maybe in the past you didn't really see this as something that would be a good fit for your future, so you might have been a lot more independent in the past, and now you're actually considering, all right, well, I'd like to build something more stable. Because another thing I see with this Ten of Pentacles sometimes is it's definitely a positive energy, but it also has like a bit of a built-in cautionary tale built into it, because the reason I say that is we look at the older man there, and if we think about looking at it from the perspective of the pentacles are all his, right, which is to say someone who might have dedicated himself to having financial success, he's all about his career, and he could be looking back on, okay, he achieved that success, but how could his life have been different, for example, if he did put more energy into building a relationship and having a family, right? So, obviously the main intent of this card is to probably say that they are a family, but that's another way that I see this card sometimes, which is to say, maybe a lack of balance where the focus was too heavy on the finances, and, as a result, you might have had other areas of your life fall by the wayside. So you could be reevaluating that now, which would make sense too, especially this year. There's been so much uncertainty around finances for people that I think it's kind of shifted how people prioritize money this year. But hopefully that resonated with you. In the environment position, we have the Five of Wands. So this is Leo energy here. Can represent some conflict energy. And given that for you guys, Leo is your 4th house of home and family, it's could just be as simple as saying if you go home for the holidays, for example, there might be some arguments with your family members, which, I mean, what family doesn't that happen in, right? But could just be pointing to that. It's not really like a major energy. The Five of Swords I would view as a little bit more harmful. This one, is usually one of those things where maybe it's a bit of an ego conflict, but typically isn't any damage done. So, this could even just be an effect of the actual retrograde energy as well. So just be on the lookout for that. But yeah, given that the fact that it's fourth house could be with family members for you, or for some of you can be with a romantic partner as well, since Leo is the natural ruler of the fifth house. And if this is your work environment as well, it could just be saying that you're in a competitive field. So, that could be why it's saying you might have to really put yourself out there to get to where you want to go. Because they're, like I said, apply to multiple places, because maybe it's just a competitive field and there's tons of people applying for those same types of jobs. So that's what I see there from the career side. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the Chariot. So I'm going to assume this is a hope for you guys. This is the major arcana card for Cancer, which is your third house of communication. So obviously, like we were saying here with a reconciliation dynamic, you could see obviously the hope for you would be to get forward movement with that connection with the communication. And this often points to success as well, can point to travel. So some of you might be traveling or wanting to travel at the very least. That sounds like it'll probably be a mess this year with all the stuff still going on with travel restrictions, but that could be at least at the very least what's on your mind. And usually this does point to success as well. And the good thing is in the outcome position, we have the Sun. So this is one of the more positive cards you could possibly have in the deck. It usually represents having that fun, playful energy. So at the very least, no matter what situation you have going on here, it does look like you'll feel a bit more lightened by everything going on. So like I said, could just be having a light, playful energy around you, reconnecting with someone from the past as well. Maybe that's what brings that out for you. And then also this represents being in the spotlight in some way. So for those of you who are, like I was saying, possibly applying for new jobs, for example, this looks like you would be looked on favorably in that regard with the Sun. If we think about that as like a spotlight being shined on you guys. So that's what I see with that. And I do have to say at the bottom of the deck, we do have the Tower card. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys had the Tower in your spread from last month. So it could just be saying that whatever that Tower moment was for you guys in October, as we move into November, that could be what really shifts your perspective and has you looking forward to a new start, right? Like I said, for some of you, it's a new start with a person from your past that you've been disconnected from. But for others of you, it could just be a fresh start in general. Maybe going back to something you used to do in the past that you might have gotten away from for whatever reason, and you might be reconnecting with that. All right, so next we'll move on to your Oracle cards. First one we had was from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, and it was Observer. It actually came up in reverse, but I'll put it in the upright while we talk about it. There it is there. There's the artwork, and the number is 49. So when these cards come up in reverse, there's actually a protection message in the book for that. So on the one hand, if we just look at this intuitively, seeing this in reverse, being that it's the Observer, could just be saying that you could be coming out of that energy, So like I said, maybe you've been analyzing, for example, if we look at this Three of Pentacles here, Three of Wands rather, this looks like an energy of observation, right? Like we said, the waiting for your ships to come in. And then, like we said, it looks like a more action-oriented spread from there, especially with the Fool and Foundation too. So on the one hand, could just be pointing to that you guys are coming out of that energy, but we'll see what it says in the book. Okay, it says, ever think sometimes your life options are suction cupped to your face and you can't see beyond yourself? There's a big world out there, a multitude of potential realities that you're unable to perceive at present. So you're a little stuck? It's time to get advice from someone you trust, someone who has a better perspective on your circumstances. Other points of view are needed now before you move forward. Take heart. A beautiful vista is waiting for you to drink it in. You just need a little help widening your scope beyond your small self. So, interesting message there. And that could be what it is too with that Six of Cups in a near future position. Could just be, like I said, reconnecting with anyone. I picked up for most of you, could be around a romantic connection, but could be old friends, and then maybe through that process you might find some insight on the situation you're dealing with just through reconnecting with them. And like I said, that does happen, if you tend to go home for the holidays and you might see people that you grew up with, and maybe you guys all live in different places now, but during the holidays you might reconnect. So could have some positive energy around that. All right. And next, this card actually also came up in reverse from the Spirit Animal Oracle. And this one is Moth Spirit. It says surrender now. There's the artwork, and the number is 39. So we'll see what that says. Okay, it says, Moth Spirit can be intense, and honesty about your own compulsive tendencies is needed right now. It is too easy to switch from one addiction to another, distracting yourself from the discomfort of uncertainty and the thoughts and emotions that arise when you aren't single-mindedly pursuing a goal. Moth Spirit calls to you to practice moderation in all things and recognize when you think you are headed toward the light, but are really heading into a fire that will cause burnout. Why are you so resistant to letting up? Could you be avoiding difficult emotions you need to feel and release? Now is the time to do a fearless inventory so that your addictive tendencies can be toned down and rechanneled into enthusiastic activity in moderation. You are not a machine. Listen to Moth Spirit's message that a change is needed to support your well-being. Maybe, deep down, you know you have become too attached to something and someone. Let go of your need to control the outcome and allow yourself to remember the many ways you want to channel your energy, to relationships, to work, to giving to others, to self-care, and to all the other pursuits you value. So interesting message there. The only thing that I really see that would kind of point to that could be possibly the Eight of Wands in that regard, given that this did come up in a challenge position. That could just be warning you against overdoing it potentially, to where if you start to feel imbalanced, it might be just telling you to slow down a bit in that regard. You guys have Mars still retrograde in your 12th house, which could definitely be tough to muster up energy with a transit like that, but that actually will be moving forward around the middle of November. So you should start to feel that energy alleviate around that time. It'll take a little while for it to build up speed, but that'll at least help. And then plus having a planet like that in your 12th house, if there are some kinds of addictions or compulsive behaviors you guys have had, when it does move direct again, that could actually help you bring an end to that as well. So hopefully that resonated with you guys. It's rare that I get either of those cards from those decks come in reverse, but both came, so hopefully that was there for a reason. Alright, so last we have a Mudra card, and the Mudra you guys got for this month is the Granthita Mudra. There it is there. And the keyword for it is redemption. Okay, there's the info on it if you want to pause it or take a screenshot. But under benefits, it says prepares the mind for meditation, opens Vishuddha chakra, the throat center, benefits the voice, improves thyroid function, increases the body's self-healing capacity, especially in cases of cancer. So the throat chakra thing could definitely be good as far as, like I said, if you are going to be reconnecting with someone from your past and communicating with them. So if that sounds like something that would be beneficial for you guys, I will put the name of the Mudra in the description video as always. We'll wrap up there and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.